Okay, let's pray. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Lord, we submit this meeting to you today. Own it, guide it, and make it a successful meeting, a pre-event meeting for the Mumbai conference in November, December of 2023. And we thank you for having enabled us to meet today. Continue, Lord, facilitating all those that have not joined, and bless the technology so that technology favors us. For all things belong to you, we belong to you, and we thank you for everything. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Good.
Okay. Should we get started? A very good morning from Kenya and a very good afternoon from India. Welcome all the participants to the Kenya East Africa India International Collaborative Virtual Conference on Waste Management and Circular Economy. We are organizing this conference as part of the World Day celebration. This is a pre-event of the 13th International Conference on Sustainable Waste Management and Circular Economy and the IPLA Global Forum 2023, which is organized by the International Society of Waste Management, Air and Water in Kolkata, India. I am Jeremy Munene Kaburu, Associate Researcher and member of the country-specific working group in Kenya of the 13th International Conference on Sustainable Waste Management and Circular Economy of the International Society of Waste Management, Air and Water in India. Today, I share the responsibility of coordinating this program along with my fellow coordinators, Padma Gunde, Juliana Mwanya, Gilbert Mutai, Charles Karaoke, Dinesh Kumar, and Dr. Ispita Shah. Mr. Dinesh Kumar, a research scholar at Jandapur University, will be managing the recording and the online platform. At the onset, I would like to remind all our participants to keep your mics in mute mode and not to speak or share your cameras until you are asked to do so. The speakers are requested to adhere to their time strictly. I now invite Ms. Padma Gunde to share a brief about the International Society of Waste Management, Air and Water.
Good morning, everyone. This is Padma Gunde. I am co-founder of Ecofy Services LLP, and I'm also member of ISW-MAW Hyderabad. Now I would like to brief about ISW-MAW. International Society of Waste Management, Air and Water, ISW-MAW, was established in 2009 in India by Professor Sadan Ghosh for betterment of waste management and environment protection by promoting 3R and circular economy concepts having involvement and participation of 50 countries across the world and most of the states in India. Problem of waste management primarily lies in poor segregation of waste and governance. ICON SWM involves in spreading awareness, carrying out of research, and implementation activities in the area related to waste management worldwide. It promotes environmentally sound waste management practices, effluent treatment, air and water pollution control practices, and general environment protection awareness in different parts of the country and abroad. ICON SWM and ISW-MAW research and other activities involves international collaborative research projects 2018 and 2024, global status of circular economy and implementation with 25 country experts, including UNCRD, research projects at different institutes, namely IISc Bangalore, Jadavpur University, and in other organizations in West Bengal, Karnataka, and other parts of the country. Now, the 13th International Conference on Sustainable Waste Management, Circular Economy and IPLA Global Forum will be held at KG Somaya Institute of Management, Mumbai, from November 29th to December 2nd, 2023. So please submit your abstracts by 30th June 2023 and full papers by 30th August 2023. So that's a brief about ICON SWM and the conference, international conference being held in November. I now hand over my microphone to Juliana Monia to proceed forward. Thank you. Juliana, can you please take over?
All right, if Juliana has some problem, Jeremy, you take over that. Jeremy, you can start Juliana's part.
Okay. I'm going to share about the objectives of the conference. The objective of this conference are to spread awareness on waste management, circular economy, and decarbonization, as these three aspects will help in achieving Sustainable Development Goals 2030. Two, to bring people across the world together to act together for the cause of environmental protection and encourage in related research. The third objective is to bring all stakeholders together under the umbrella of the International Conference on Sustainable Waste Management and Circular Economy, a worldwide movement. And fourth, it's ultimately to educate the people in beating the plastic pollution and get benefit out of the resources generally from the end of life of materials. Today's program is divided into 5 sessions: inaugural session, 1 keynote session, 2 technical sessions, followed by a concluding session. The keynote session is for 15 minutes, and the rest of the presentation in the technical session are for 10 minutes. Speakers will be reminded of the 2 minutes before finishing, and once more when the time is up. All the speakers are requested to maintain their time schedule strictly. Participants can type their question in the chat box, and those that will be taken up at the end of the session. Coordinators will read out the questions from the chat box. I request chairs and co-chairs to briefly summarize the sessions in 5 minutes. Again, I remind all our participants to keep your mics in mute mode and not to speak or share your cameras until asked to do so. I now hand over the microphone to Charles Kariuki to coordinate the inaugural session.
Hello, everyone. I welcome you to this inaugural session. My name is Charles Kariuki, and I will be your coordinator for this session. Now, each speaker has 5 minutes to deliver their speech. Now, the speakers are kindly reminded to adhere to the allocated time. You will be reminded about the time when 2 minutes are left and when the time is up, so that you can wind up your speech. Now, to begin this session, I wish to invite Ambassador Professor Michael Koech to deliver his welcome speech. Ambassador Professor Koech is an associate professor in the Department of Environmental Sciences and Education in the School of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences at Kenyatta University in Kenya. He is the founding Director General of Kenya's National Environment Management Authority, that's NEMA. Professor Koech also served as a permanent representative of Kenya to the United Nations Environment Program, that's UNEP, from the year 2000 to the year 2002. His research interests are in environmental education and sustainability, ecological studies, environmental management, and policy development. I now request Ambassador Professor Koech to give his welcome speech. Please unmute and share your camera. Professor.
Yeah, thank you for that introduction. And before I share my welcoming remarks, I would like to thank God for enabling us individually and collectively to plan, organize, and through the virtual meetings that we have had so many times, and implementing our collective effort this morning. We thank God for all of this and the more plans that God has given us for the future. So good morning, everybody. My name is Michael Koech from Kenyatta University, and I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all the esteemed academicians and the experts from various parts of the world to this African pre-event of the 13th International Conference on Sustainable Development and Waste Management and Circular Economy, and the International Partnership for Expanding Waste Management Services of Local Authorities. And I am honored to commence or to start this meeting or this forum as we look forward to sharing and comparing various important matters concerning sustainable development, sustainable waste management, and the circular economy. Firstly, I would like to thank the adept organizers of this conference for laying down the groundwork which paved way for this conference to kick off here in Kenya this morning. Secondly, I would like to thank all the participants, the contributors, and the speakers from various professional backgrounds to agree to take part in this conference where we converge and share our ideas and views and subsequently implement them. We are pleased to have you join us and participate in this meeting. Today, we highlight the areas of solid waste management, circular economy, and sustainable development. These discussion topics are important to keep deliberating on and conducting research on so as to have data that continue to contribute positively to our work as experts, academicians, policymakers, at the national, regional, and global arena. It is no doubt that how we approach waste management and resources management will significantly contribute to sustainable development and climate change mitigation and adaptation measures. And you may recall, for those who attended the COP27 held in Egypt in 2022, and I participated virtually, and a number of issues were discussed, including waste management, were really identified as an area that need to be addressed, and also reducing waste generation, promoting environmentally sound waste management, controlling transboundary movement of hazardous and illegal wastes were identified as important for all countries to address them and to meet their commitments. It was also stated that the area of waste contribute to 10% of greenhouse gases or gas emissions, where 31% of this is contributed by open dumping, with some lower income nations relying on these, totaling to around 93% of their disposal method. Waste ends up in public ecosystems. Illegal landfills are burned openly and cause a lot of pollution. Additionally, the COVID-19 also brought its own problems, and many hazardous wastes have been dumped around globally and in various regions. Recently, I was reading in the social media that some market and social research company is about to start a research of solid waste management in Rwanda. The research will take about 12 months. And the advert said, those who are going to be hired for this job must all have university degree, a bachelor's degree, with the following fields covered: waste management, environmental engineering, environmental economics, business administration, finance, and last but not least, circular economy, which is one of the topics of this meeting today. Now, today we have approximately approximate population of 1.4 billion people in India and 1.4 billion people in the continent of Africa, and the challenges faced with regard to environmental sustainability in the subcontinent of India and the continent of Africa, and are not very different. They are all the same. Some of the challenges include the generation of waste from an ever-growing population, as we know, more so in urban areas, and the transportation of these wastes, the treatment and disposal of the waste. Some of the presentation during this conference will highlight some of these issues and realities faced in two parts of the world, and we reflect them as we ask ourselves a number of questions as policymakers. One, do we have enough information available to the masses? Do we have clear laws and guidance in our societies or our nations? Do nations and agencies coordinate effectively across the nations? What is the state of our monitoring and enforcement and mechanism of all that we do in order to manage waste? Those are the questions we need to ask, and those are the questions that we are addressing in this meeting and will help us to move forward. As we reflect on these and other questions, we are also reminded that we are tasked to make positive marks on this world and aim to steer the globe towards sustainability. We need to have capability of making our globe a sustainable habitat for all living mechanisms to coexist. And we must not give up. We must continue. And all the effort that we make are very critical. And before I conclude my remarks this morning, I would like to say that there is a proverb that says a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. Professor Ghosh and I started that one step in a solid waste conference in Maryland in the US in March of 2018. And then he invited me to a physical conference in India in November 2018. And Kenyatta University supported me in attending that conference. And I contributed, and I was very pleased. I learned a lot, even in the field trip that we had, and we saw how India manages their waste and how they coordinate them. It was a very successful conference. I then recruited Jeremy Kaburu, who is in this meeting today. Jeremy Kaburu recruited Desmond Situma, and we became 3. And later on, we recruited Mrs. Mary Kinoti, and we became a group of 4. And that group of 4 has made a lot of efforts, has recruited many of us that are attending this meeting today and contributing to this meeting. And Mrs. Mary Kinoti comes from the University of Nairobi. And I just want to say that this group has facilitated, has elaborated, has recruited, and in conclusion, I want to say that small is beautiful. A number of years ago, I read a book, an economic book, many years ago that was entitled Small is Beautiful, and it is effective, and it is blessed, and it's also opened doors and opportunities to all of us locally and globally. And I believe this conference will do that, and it will open doors and opportunities for us to participate in contributing effectively in the management of waste management and circular economy as we do this. And concluding, once again, it is a great pleasure to welcome you all to this conference and look forward to the discussions and the deliberations. And at this point, I would like to hand over to Professor Ghosh to guide us through the next steps, or the coordinator to guide us in the next step of this conference. Again, thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, for that wonderful welcome speech. You may mute. I now request Professor Sadan Kumar Ghosh, the President of the International Society of Waste Management, Air and Water, India, to speak about the collaboration. Professor Sadan,
Thank you.
please
Thank you,
unmute and share
Charles.
your camera.
Thank you, Charles. And thanks, Professor Quech. It's my pleasure to be here with quite a good number of people from different countries. I can see here the people from Kenya, Norway, South Africa, Ghana, India, and some other countries I cannot remember from here. So however, at the very outset, I must mention few names through which I mean collaboration. Dr. Kare Hegle Karstensen, he is my collaborator in Norway. Dr. Kulwant Singh, he is my collaborator in India, North India. Mr. CRC Mahanti, he is my collaborator in UNCRD, Japan. Mr. Diviz Rao, he is my collaborator in India from Vizag, from the industry. Mr. M. Birachari, he is my collaborator from industry, waste to energy industry in India. Mr. Satish Kamath, he is my collaborator from India on the South India, and he is he's operating a very big business estate, or he will explain later on. And you know that in this way, I can see one more friend we are missing is Dr. Raman Ramchandran, whose representative is here, Dr. Satyendra Upadhyay from KJ Somaya Institute of Management. So you know that, and the last but not the least and very important is Professor Michael Quech from Kenya. So you know, this is the way we are expanding our collaboration with respect to research, with respect to publication, with respect to collaboration in industrial activities, and with respect to personal friendship. So this platform we are utilizing for making collaboration on the research project, for development of the global initiatives on sustainable development, sustainable environment, environmental protection, waste management, circular economy, decarbonization. And there is a need for personal relation in different countries. So today, the International Society of Waste Management, Air and Water, and also the ICON SWM, International Conference on Sustainable Waste Management and Circular Economy, it has 48 country-specific working groups who are working for the sustainability and for the success of this collaborative conference. I am very happy today that the whole team, I missed here that my friends from Uganda and also South Africa are here. They will be also speaking. So I am very happy, and I must mention that the team in Kenya, led by Professor Michael Quech, have done a great job for this conference, and they will also working as a country-specific working group in ICON SWM. My team from India, like Padma, Sutripta, Ipshita, and other friends, they also did a wonderful job for this program. So what we want is, we will have 2 special sessions on collaboration between among different countries and African countries. So I wish that my African friends from different countries will make these 2 sessions in ICON SWM a grand success, which will continue for 90 plus 90, around 180 or 200 minutes. So I'll be giving the responsibility to my friend, Professor Michael Quech, to coordinate, and also my friends from South Africa and Uganda. So with this, I must thank all of you for your presence here, and to encourage your presence will definitely encourage the whole team of the African countries and India. With this, I must thank once again and thank you very much. I'm handing over the microphone to the coordinator. Charles.
Thank you, Prof, for that insight there. At this juncture, I wish to invite Mr. M. Viracheri to talk about the 13th International Conference on Sustainable Waste Management and Circular Economy and IPLA GF 2023. Mr. Viracheri is the president of Andhra Pradesh Operations and Projects, Jindal Urban Waste Management Limited, and AP India. He has 34 years experience in iron ore, steel, cement, power, waste to energy sectors, as well as academics. He executed 52 green and brown field projects. He executed 3 waste to energy projects as part of his research. He worked with several organizations in India and other countries and provided technical support for various projects. He is a member in the Expert Advisory Committee for Waste to Energy Technology in the Department of Science and Technology of the Government of India. He is also the Vice Chairman of the International Society of Waste Management, Air and Water. I kindly request Mr. Viracheri to deliver his speech. Please unmute and share your camera. You have 7 minutes to deliver your speech.
Thank you very much, Mr. Charles. And also, I am very thankful to Mr. Sadhan Ghosh and also Engagement Services of local authority. Now, I am sharing my screen where it explains the objectives of International Solid Waste Management of Society for Water and Air. Please share the screen. Presentation. The objectives of International Society of Waste Management of Air and Water is solution to municipal solid waste, agriculture waste, construction and demolition waste, biomedical waste, industrial waste, plastic waste, e-waste, sewage water, and the motto is protection of environment by air and water. Next. A case study of solution to municipal solid waste, where we are presently operating the industry. Jindal is operating at 4 places. Next. The waste generation in the world, around about 2.24 billion tons of solid waste, amounting a footprint of 7.9 kilograms per person per day, and with rapid population growth and urbanization, annual waste generation is expected to increase by 73% from 2020 levels to 3.88 billion tons in 2050. Next. The waste scenario in India, it is explained here. In India, the per capita generation in rural areas is 200 grams and urban areas is 500 grams, whereas the international standard as per United Nations is 1000 grams. And the projected municipal solid waste generation by 2031 in India is 185 million tons per annum. Next. In other countries, now we are focusing on Africa. We are speaking about Africa. The generation 125 million tons of municipal solid waste was generated in Africa in 2012, which is expected to be doubled by 2025. The disposal, more than 90% of waste generated in Africa is disposed to uncontrolled dumps and landfills, often associated with open burning, which is highly hazardous. 19 of world 50 biggest dumps are located in Africa, all in sub-Saharan Africa. So this is an important forum for all the African nations to join with this International Society of Solid Waste Management of Work and Water. Next. The impact of dump. If you dump 1 ton of this MSW, municipal solid waste, the methane generation is 150 kg and carbon dioxide is 2000 kg, and land required is 2480 hectares per year for 10 meters height, and this methane is 21 times more dangerous than the carbon dioxide. Whenever the raining happens, the dump will be wetted and the water seeps into the groundwater. That is called leachate. The BOD, COD, and TDS has explained clearly here against the limits. The leachate pollutes the groundwater for decades together. Next. The global scenario of waste energy plants: in China, 900 plants, Europe, 500 plants, America, 84 plants, Latin America, 4 plants, Japan, more than 400 plants, Singapore is a small country, 4 plants are there, India, 10 plants are there, and India also needed a lot of work to be done, more than 300 plants. The first incineration plant at Netherlands in the year of 1937, and first great incineration plant successfully operated at Japan in the 1965 year. And solid waste management rules framed in Japan in the year 1900, whereas in India it is 2000. It is very unfortunate. And we are also having less land mass and more population. Next. We have checked different technologies like gasification, pyrolysis, plasma, and all the things. But ultimately, in Japan, we have taken as a case study, 84% of the plant of Japan municipal solid waste is handled by mass incineration through great combustion. Next. These mass incineration plants are very friendly in nature. We have given the Indian norms of 2016 solid waste management rules, international standards, and presently Jindal Urban Waste Management Guntur Limited, Jindal Urban Waste Management Visakhapatnam Limited is thoroughly explained like this. Next. This is the scenario in Tokyo, where in the city of Tokyo, 21 plants are operated in the city center, but no pollution at all. Next. This is the waste to energy plant near to Eiffel Tower, which is the most famous tourist place in Paris. Next. The cleanest city in the world is Zurich, where this waste to energy plant is located in the center of the city. Next. This is all about this one. Now I am presenting the plant video. Please see the plant video. Yeah, it will show.
Can you hear me, Mr. Birachari?
Yes.
Yeah, so as Dr. Kare has a flight and he has to leave within 10 minutes. So what I'll request you, please stop this. Once Dr. Kare, listen, once Dr. Kare finish it, and then we will see this video.
No, kindly allow me, please.
Birachari, we will allow you, but after Dr. Kare finishes, because he has to leave for his flight. All right, we will allow you, but after Dr.
After.
Charles, where are you? Hello, Charles.
I'm here, Prof. Yes.
Go
So,
ahead. Go ahead. Please.
so we can proceed. We thank Mr. Virachari very much for that beautiful presentation. It is now my honor to welcome Dr. Kari H. Carstensen to deliver his inaugural speech. Dr. Kari is a senior scientist at SINTEF, Norway, and a co-chair of the 13th International Conference on Sustainable Waste Management and Circular Economy 2023. He has over 30 years of research and management experience at various levels. He is recognized as one of the pioneers of co-processing and treatment of wastes in resource and energy-intensive industries. He has published crucial research and development findings and developed regulatory frameworks and guidelines on co-processing for multiple governments, UN bodies, and international organizations. He played a key role in introducing co-processing in several Asian countries. He successfully executed challenging projects for governments, international organizations, and leading industries. He has authored over 100 peer-reviewed publications, books, and scientific reports. He is initiating and implementing capacity building and performance enhancing sustainability projects in developing countries. I request Dr. Kari to give his inaugural speech.
Thank you very much, Charles. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor for me to, present this inaugural speech from Oslo, Norway. And I really hope this conference, very important conference, is going to be successful because our world faces significant challenges and it is our responsibility to address them with urgency and foresight. One of the most pressing issues that demands our attention is waste management and the imperative need to transition towards a circular economy. We live in a time when our planet is grappling with consequences of excessive consumption and a linear approach to resource utilization. The traditional take and make dispose model is not sustainable in the long run. Our precious resources are being depleted at an alarming rate, while landfills continue to overflow, polluting our air, water, and soil. And this path is simply untenable. However, amidst these challenges lies an opportunity to reshape our economy and build a more sustainable future. The concept of circular economy provides a powerful framework for achieving this transformation. A circular economy aims to minimize waste, keep products and materials in use for as long as possible, and regenerate natural systems. It is an economy that works in harmony with nature, creating a closed-loop system where resources are used efficiently and waste is minimized. To embark on this transformative journey, we must adopt a multifaceted approach. Firstly, we must prioritize waste prevention and reduction, and this requires a shift in mindset where we value durability, repairability, and reusability over disposability. By designing product with circularity in mind, and promoting responsible consumption patterns, we can significantly reduce the amount of waste generated in the first place. Secondly, we must embrace recycling and reprocessing as an integral component of our waste management strategy. Recycling allows us to recover valuable materials from waste and reintroduce them into the production cycle. We need to invest in infrastructure, technology, and research to optimize recycling processes, improve collection systems, and create markets for recycled materials. By doing so, we can reduce our dependence on virgin resources and curb the environmental impact associated with extraction and manufacturing. Furthermore, we must encourage innovation and collaboration. Governments, businesses, academia, and civil society must work hand in hand to develop and implement sustainable solutions. We should incentivize research and development in areas such as advanced recycling technologies, renewable energy, and eco-friendly materials. By fostering a culture of innovation and knowledge exchange, we can unlock new opportunities and drive the transition towards a circular economy. Equally important is the need for education and awareness. We must empower individuals and communities with the knowledge and tools to make informed choices and take responsible actions. Environmental education should be integrated in our educational system, highlighting the importance of waste reduction, recycling, and sustainable practices. By nurturing a sense of environmental stewardship, we can cultivate a generation that understands the value of our natural resources and the urgency of protecting them. As we embark on this journey towards a circular economy, we must also address the social dimension. We must ensure a just and inclusive transition when no one is left behind. We need to create jobs and provide training and reskilling opportunities for workers affected by the shift away from traditional industries. By prioritizing social equity and empowering communities, we can build a more resilient and sustainable society for all. In conclusion, the challenges we faced in waste management and the transition to circular economy are formidable. However, they also represent a turning point, a chance to reshape our future and leave a positive legacy for generations to come. Let us embrace this opportunity with determination, creativity, and collaboration. Together, we can build a world where waste become a thing of the past and the circular economy becomes the foundation of a prosperous and sustainable future. Thank you, and let us begin this transformative journey together. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Kari, for that inaugural speech. I wish to invite Jeremy to give...
Charles, before you go to
Prof.
Jeremy, can you ask Mr. Virachari if he wants to speak for 1 minute on his waste to energy plant?
The video.
Mr. Virachari, please.
Mr.
Yeah.
Virachari.
Thank you very much. Can you give me just 2 minutes to complete the video?
Please go ahead.
It's okay. Please do.
Please go ahead. Thank you, Dr. Kare.
Thank you very much. This is the plant which can handle 1,200 tons per day and covering near about 80 ULBs, local urban bodies, and generating 15 megawatt per hour. The plant was commissioned on 21st October 2021 and plant is running uninterruptedly. And the total nearby 80 ULBs, the dumps have been clearly totally cleaned. This is the achievement. This project was executed under public-private partnership under the concept of design, build, finance, operate, own it, and transfer it. Thank you very much for giving me this one. And it is most successful plant on mass incineration process. where Africa also needs such kind of plants many, because 50 of dumps, 19 dumps are in Africa only, which is major dumps. And also I explained in my presentation the impacts of the dump. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Virachari.
Thank you.
Congratulations for your plant operation and for all of information for all that. Virachari will be responsible for conducting one special session on waste to energy plants, whichever are in India and other countries in ICONSW in November, December. Thank you, Virachari, for accepting that. Thank you.
Thank you, Virachari, and all the speakers who have taken us through this inaugural session. I wish to invite Mr. Jeremy to give a small vote of thanks to the inaugural speakers. Kindly, Mr. Jeremy.
Okay, thank you, Charles. We have come to the end of the inaugural session. It's now my humble duty to give a vote of thanks to Professor Michael Koech, Professor Sadan Kumar Ghosh, Mr. Virachari, and Mr. Kare Carstensen for their insightful speeches and sentiments, for helping us set the right tone and mood of sharing our experiences on circular economy, solid waste management, and decarbonization. Fortunately, we have had a good beginning, and hopefully we will have a wonderful and educative ending. Again, on behalf of all the participants, I extend my warm and kind appreciation to the 4 speakers for making time to be with us today.
No, just a minute. I want to answer one more thing. Shortly, we are planning to go to Zambia.
Welcome all to technical session 2 on waste management. I request Ambassador Professor Michael Koech to chair the session and co-chair Mr. Satish Kamath. We already introduced Professor Koech in the inaugural session, and I now take this opportunity to introduce Mr. Satish Kamath. Mr. Satish Kamath, BE and MBA, the president of 3City PVT Limited, a 7,500-acre integrated greenfield smart business city driven by manufacturing activity, is considered to be one of the largest industrial parks, special economic zones in South India. He brings to the table expertise in infrastructure program management, city planning development and operations, smart city technologies. He has over 38 years experience in manufacturing, IT, infrastructure management and development projects, and operations of cities. The first presentations of this session is Kenya Sustainable Waste Management Act 2022 by Mr. David Ongare. David holds a bachelor's degree in education from Egerton University, Kenya, a PhD finalist from University of Nairobi, and National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA. He has worked as a program manager, director compliance for environmental and social safeguards and assessments, permitting and licensing. He has an extensive training and working experience in the areas of impact assessments, circular economy, blue economy, environmental governance, among others. I request Mr. David Ongare to make his presentation. David, your time is 10 minutes. Please unmute and share your screen. David, please, are you there? Mr. David Ongare.
Mr. Ongare is not there. Mr. Ongare?
I can see like he is starting.
I thought he was there.
Yeah, there's
Mr.
something on
Ongare.
the screen.
there is some activity on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I think David is starting something. Yeah, there he is.
David, please have your presentation in the presentation mode.
Hello,
Yes,
can you hear me?
we are hearing you.
My name is David Ongare. I am from the National Environment Management Authority. As you are aware, my institution is in charge of coordinating and supervising environmental matters in the country, and also implementing environmental policy on behalf of the government. I will make a very, very brief presentation on the National Sustainable Waste Management Act of 2022. As you are all aware, making a consult. Have a marine litter action plan and responsibility regulations, which are out of the credo, and basically with the aim of minimizing extraction of virgin material.
What happened? David Ongare, Wanda Ongare.
It seems David left, but we can, if time allows, you can give him a minute to get back to his presentation.
Is David coming back, or we go to the next speaker? Next presenter, Gilbert, or what? What do we do?
I'm suggesting we have the next presenter.
Yeah, because it looks like the technological problems is experiencing technological issues.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, let's go to the next presenter, and then if he can, if he's able to come back, then we can give him an opportunity to continue.
All right. So our next presentation is on contamination of groundwater with antibiotics in Kisumu, Kenya, by Ms. Kellen Karemi. Ms. Karemi is a lecturer is in the Department of Public and Global Health at the University of Nairobi. She's experienced in teaching environmental health, occupational health, and industrial safety, research methodologies, and epidemiology, with a special interest in research on groundwater contaminants and waste management. She serves in health projects and consultancies. I request Ms. Kellen Karemi to make her presentation. Ms. Kellen, your time is 10 minutes. Please unmute and share your screen. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for having me at this time. My name is Kellen Karemi, here at the University of Nairobi, Department of Public and Global Health. Thank you for the privilege in this special conference. My presentation will be on contamination of groundwater process with antibiotics in informal settlements of Kisumu. This is a study that has already taken place. And in this context, we are addressing wastewater management towards a circular economy. Now, as a way of introduction, we all know that there's a high frequency of detection of pharmaceuticals and antibiotics in groundwater, and also other water sources, just of groundwater sources. The increase used has been attributed to increased use, and the use, the detection of antibiotics has been attributed to increased use of antibiotics and improper disposal of the same and the pharmaceuticals. A recent study, a prior study to this one, showed that Kisumu residents of informal settlements of Kisumu were found to consume antibiotics, and the prevalence was at 43%. And this is the presence of antibiotics in water is worsened also by inadequate sanitation facilities. Because these places in the informal settlements, we advocate for use of pit latrines, and the pit latrines use the same space as groundwater subsurface, as well as also the obvious scenario of where there is increased population, the rural, that is fueled by rural urban migration in the low and middle countries. So in our context, wastewater that can be and be beneficial to everyone is a possible source of contamination of groundwater, pharmaceutical antibiotics. We all know that groundwater is a limited resource that must be protected. This is where we all run to when there is a shortage of water. Like, for example, in Kisumu, the municipal council of the county council of Kisumu is not able to supply everyone with water. So wherever there is a chance to sink a groundwater source of a borehole or a well, the residents go for it so that they can satisfy their water need. So we therefore advocate for removal of antibiotics from wastewaters. We will see from the results, there's a map how the presence of the antibiotics is related to wastewater treatment plants. So the presence of this antibiotics is obviously known. We know that it's a source of antibiotic resistance, and if it's environmentally induced, then it's a danger because we don't know how it comes to people, and the result can be death. So the study employed a methodology. It was a cross-sectional study where a total Groundwater sources were mapped. There were 180, but we sampled around 49 water points in the informal settlements. We have had 5 out of the 8 informal settlements. And antibiotics, that is some sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim, were analyzed using chromatography. These 2 antibiotics are very commonly used for prophylaxis and treatment of infection, especially for people who have who have a lowered immunity. And the special population in this case is HIV patients. And we all know that that region reports higher prevalences of HIV than the national prevalence of the other areas in the country. So antibiotic sensitivity was also done, and against E. coli. E. coli is a bacteria that is responsible for causing preventing UTIs, urinary tract infections, which affects the people who have compromised immunities. So in the results, we have the map of tumor. We had 5 informal settlements. We have Manyata. When you go up, there's Obunga, then Manyata Estate, then Nyalenda Estate. And the blue are the general water sources, all the water sources that are available in that, the groundwater sources. These are generally or majorly shallow wells that people sink to access water. The red is where antibiotics or sulfamethoxazole in particular was extracted or analyzed or detected. And the yellow is where the resistance was. So when we go to the circle that has popped up on the screen, circles the wastewater treatment plant. And you see the proximity of the wastewater treatment plant to where resistant bacteria, so the ponds or wells that had E. coli that was resistant to sulfamethoxazole and trimethoprim. The proximity is very, the closeness of it could explain why we have this resistance. Yep. So the table here on the left just shows the concentrations of antibiotics on the different water points. So what are the policy implications? I'll go straight to what does it mean. It means that this water point, the wastewater treatment plant, should be close, because we don't know what could happen or the dynamic or even the seasonality. We just picked the water samples once. It was not done many times to establish a pattern. So we just picked water once, analyzed for antibiotics, and also did antibiotics resistant test just once. If monitoring can be done on thoroughly or on a regular basis, that can be hot, so we can arrest that we can know which or where the source of the resistant is coming from. Also, the other policy implication, we should not. So my suggestion is on analysis of the soil properties of that or where wastewater is being treated. And this is in conjunction with engineers and geologists, so that wherever anybody is going to sink a borehole, it's neat. The dynamics or the mathematics, the measurements are done properly to avoid contamination of the groundwater. We know antibiotics and pharmaceuticals in wastewater must be closely monitored, and the further investigation of the triggers. We don't know exactly what triggers resistance.
Excuse me, Mr. Karim.
That is the end of my presentation.
You still have 2 minutes.
Oh, my time, okay, I will save you the 2 minutes and I will end there by acknowledging CATA. CATA is the Consortium for African Research Training, Advanced Research Training in Africa, which funded my PhD to analyze all those water samples. Then there's AfriWaterSan. AfriWaterSan is African Water Sanitation, which is funded by British government, which again they assist identification of the study sites and also funding the data collections, and also the University of Nairobi for giving me the chance to be part of those projects. Thank you very much.
Asante.
Thank you, Ms. Karen. I would request you to stop sharing your presentation and mute your microphone.
Thank you very much.
And our next presentation topic is hospital waste management in Kenya by Dr. Washington Ngari. Dr. Ngari is a healthcare practitioner specializing as a public health medicine specialist. He is in charge of Ruaraka Neema Hospital and is a member of the hospital's governing board. I request Dr. Washington Ngari to deliver his speech. Dr. Washington, if you are there, your time is 10 minutes. Please unmute and share your screen. And
hello, good afternoon, everybody. I am trying to share my screen. I don't know how do I go about it? Hold on. Please allow me to share. No, it's not allowing.
Can anyone assist him in sharing the?
Are you able to share, Dr. Njogu?
I'm trying to share. How do I?
I think there's a green.
Green screen.
Green.
Yes, when I press the green.
Then you go to the document, your documents. Where is it?
I've opened it here. It's on my, where is this one?
Okay.
Okay.
If it is in green and dialog box will come out.
Yes.
And tell you what to do. Click on it, then share. Then you go to your document.
Let me go to
Are you okay? Or I share from this side?
See that? Can you share from this? The one I've sent you, the last one.
Is this the same one?
Yes. Let me see. Can I read?
Madam Kinoti, maybe you can assist him.
I didn't save his work. He had sent to me in the email.
Yeah.
No, there is one I've done. I have the latest one. Oh, is it this
Yeah.
one? That one. Is that that one? That is a window. Is that the window?
Jeremy, can he share with you so that you can assist in presenting for him?
Is Jeremy able to assist him?
They've closed it. Closed it. That is, yeah, things are the
Mary, please share the presentation on email if you can, so that I can share from this side.
Okay. Where is the one I said? Just
Let me see. Let me see. Has it come? I think he sent me the email, but
okay, let me write Mary.Kinoti.
Hello, Gilbert.
send it to Kabulu.
Gilbert.
Yes.
Just go to the next speaker, and then as they share the document, we'll project later.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in that case, then, yeah, okay. So we can go to the next speaker.
Yeah.
The next presenter.
Yes.
And the next presenter is me on behalf of our other colleagues, Philip Wangia and Kaburu Munene.
All right.
So it's you or Kaburu who is presenting.
Yes, I'm going to present on our behalf. And
Professor Koech, will you allow me to do
let me
do my bit so that you can go ahead, please.
Okay, let me get organized.
So the next presentation is by Ambassador Professor Michael Koech, Philip Wangia, and Jeremy Munene Kaburu on the role of segregation in sustainable management of domestic solid waste in Kilimani area, Nairobi, Kenya. We had already introduced Professor Koech, so I'm going to introduce Mr. Wangia, who is an experienced environmental expert. He serves as an environmental officer and is inspector at the county government of Nyeri, Kenya. He specializes. Sorry. Mr. Wangia specializes in environmental management and enforcement and climate change action. He has a bachelor's degree in environmental science and actively engages in community sensitization on environmental and climate change matters. Mr. Kaburu is an associate researcher at Kenyatta University Green Education Hub. He holds a master's degree in sustainable urban development from Kenyatta University, and his recent study was on higher education climate action, the case of Kenyatta University. His research interests are sustainable urban development, biodiversity conservation, and environmental education, that is green education. I hereby request Professor Michael Koech to make his presentation. Professor, your time is 10 minutes. Please unmute and share your screen.
Thank you, Gilbert. I'm going to be doing the presentation on behalf of Philip Wangia and Jeremy Kaburu. And our topic is the role of segregation in sustainable management of domestic solid waste in Nairobi County. And that is our title. And let me proceed. Just 1 minute. Yeah, let me proceed now. Thank you, Gilbert. Now, would like to say that in summary, waste segregation is a key issue, and Kenya, for example, is taking efforts in carrying out that. But I would like to just introduce by saying that global documents and global policy making that we have participated as Kenya include the Agenda 21, and Agenda 21 actually supports issues of environmental degradation should be minimized and reversed completely. And in particular, the Sustainable Development Goals are also very, very, very crucial to guiding us in solid waste segregation. And particularly the Sustainable Development number 11 is focusing in particularly in enabling us to segregate waste and make our cities safe and places that people can live with environment and not degrading environment. And so SDG 11 is very key as far as we are concerned. And so those are the global issues. And then as far as introduction is concerned, the available research that we have indicates that there is considerable documentation on the key issues of innovation or innovative community level waste management in countries or in continents such as Asia and Latin America, for example. Those innovations have gone very, very far. And in particular, the little of these innovations are not taking place in Kenya. And I think many of you have heard from the presenters before that now Kenya, Africa is a priority. And these are the efforts that we are making. We have had one meeting in Ghana from last week. And then we have now ours in Kenya here. And I just want to say that Kenya is actually potential, particularly the city of Nairobi is potential in creating innovation that can assist us in solid waste segregation or all types of waste segregations in our urban centers. Now, the aim of the project that I'm presenting to you is urban improvement, particularly the city of Nairobi, and ensuring that waste are segregated and managed well. And we have come from the former Nairobi the city council, and now we have the new government, namely the Nairobi City County government, and JICA have come together and developed 9 zones within Nairobi. And those 9 zones are going to be managing the way of segregating waste, managing waste so that we manage them sustainably and be able to provide various innovations in order to be able to minimize and really ensure that solid waste are segregated, so that we can have the food waste, we can have the paper waste, we can have plastics and all of that be segregated and then be carried out, as I'll be talking to you shortly on the franchise system. Now, during the pilot project, the franchise system of waste management was introduced. And this is what we will be discussing as we continue in this presentation. Now, the issues that pertains to all these solid waste, we want to take care of household wastes, and we want to ensure that hotels and restaurant waste are managed and segregated. We want to ensure that educational institutions waste are managed, segregated, and delivered appropriately, including the corporate and offices where all these waste should be segregated and be used properly or be disposed appropriately. Now, there are 2 things that Kenya government, particularly the City Council of Nairobi, have introduced. One is the point of collection. And point of collection had, for example, Company B and Company A collecting segregated waste from those points. And then in the franchise system, for example, is enabling the city of Nairobi to have companies that are very responsible, they manage waste and carry them appropriately, not waste that are being carried previously by the City Council of Nairobi or the City County of Nairobi using their own vehicles and dumping them as they go. So this is the approach that we are going in the City of Nairobi, the franchise system of waste management. Now, the situation here are the heaps of waste that are all over the place. You can see on my right-hand side, the type of waste that we have. And this waste actually have no little separated. You can see all of them mixed up. And we want to make sure that we separate that from the households and from the offices and from the institution where we participate in and work in, for example. Now the amount of waste generated by the household increases with the purchasing power. and I'll be explaining that shortly, indicating the purchasing power and showing that the well-to-do generally have more waste than the lower income communities. Here, I would like to say that in the study done in 2019 by Odero, you will see that all the type of waste, including organic waste, paper waste, plastic waste, glass waste, metal waste, composite waste, and all types of waste. The highest waste or the most waste that are generated comes in the high income communities compared to the low income communities, for example. And that is what the city county of Nairobi would like to do and manage and ensure that all these wastes are taken care of in a sustainable way, and in a way that is friendly to the environment and in a way that is friendly also to nature. Here also, there was a study done in 2010, and we noticed that the organic and biodegradable, again, here you can find that at the immediate sources of this waste, in this study, we can see 58 or so percent are from the households, and then residential areas about 46.1%, and the rest you can just see the way they are. Yes.
You have 2 minutes.
Yes. 2 minutes. Okay.
2 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Then what I would like to say, the objective of this study was to identify actually the current trends of how we are going to segregate things in Nairobi, and then compare them with opportunities and limitations that we have. And the study, we have this study on desktop study, and then we also had a questionnaire, and we administered questionnaire to about 40 people to find out what we need to do. And we got the information, and this is a study that is ongoing. And what we found out was that this was relevant information. We need to have the data, we need to have the information, we need to have participants, participative approach in all that we do, and so that we can be able to implement all of this within the 9 zones of or that were identified by JICA and the city county of Nairobi. The area that we are focusing on this is Kilimani, and Kilimani area is one focus that we are working on, and will continue working on this as a pilot area of finding out how solid waste is done. And what I would like to give you that in Kilimani area now, there are people who are separating their waste and taking them to various sites, particularly the plastics. And we have like in Shell near Yaya, they have segregation of waste and plastics, and many people take them. And on every other third Sunday, people take their plastic to the Nairobi Kilimani schools, and they are collected by the Takataka solution. Now, there are a number of benefits in doing all of this. Some of the benefits are, of course, equal opportunities of the high-end, medium income, and all of that, and participating, contributing, having jobs, opportunities to do this, and also businesses as we are concerned. Now, the current trend of solid waste and transportations are actually not working out quite well, because the policy somehow is lapsing, and I think there's an improvement that we need to do. And the way to do is a franchise system that is going to really improve things in the city county of Nairobi. And there are also challenges that we found, and some of the challenges, I'll highlight a few of them here. One of them is, of course, the solid, the challenges that we face is the segregation of solid waste from the households or the communities, and they are not there. this is really very challenging. And I'm just telling you that you can separate your solid waste, you take them outside, they're nowhere to really be done. So that is one of the challenges that is there, and people need to be educated, facilities need to be provided, and etc. Now, opportunities are also there. We find that a franchise system is going to offer an alternative that will boost businesses and revenue within the county and help us to move well in waste management in our county. Now, in conclusion, I would like to say that the segregation is a good source and a viable, workable approach for sustainable waste management, supporting the SDG 11, Sustainable Development number 11, where segregation does not only contribute to making cities cleaner, but it also provide opportunities to individuals and businesses. And so one of the recommendations that I would like to say is that the Nairobi City County and the National Environment Management Authority need to collaborate and work together in helping create new innovations, new innovative technologies that will help us manage our waste. And I think I would like to just end by saying all those efforts are being done, and we will be having more studies on segregation of waste in the future, because we have just started that, and this is only preliminary finding that we have. And so we'd like to say thank you for providing us with this opportunity.
Thank you, Ambassador Professor Koech. I request you to stop sharing. You have stopped. Thank you. And before we go to our last presenter, I would like to know whether Dr. Washington Gary is now ready.
Gilbert, Mr. David from NEMA is back. Give him 5 minutes to wind up.
Okay, thank you. Mr. David, welcome. Mr. David Ongare, if you can hear me, please share your presentation and unmute your mic.
We can go to the next. Dr. Ngari's presentation is ready.
He seemed to be having similar problem that he had earlier, technical.
Hello, can you be able to?
I will be sharing on behalf of Dr. Ngari. Dr. Washington.
Yes.
Okay, Jeremy is sharing. Okay, I also had been sent the presentation. Jeremy has shared.
But it's okay now that he can do it.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Can I be able to scroll? I will scroll for me, Professor. I won't be able to scroll it. Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Mine is about hospital waste management in Kenya. We need to define what waste is first, which is something which the owner no longer wants at a given place and time, and has no current or perceived market value. Now, when we talk of healthcare waste, this is defined as all the waste generated in the process of healthcare provision from healthcare facilities, laboratories, or research facilities, and also home-based care. Only 25% of healthcare waste is hazardous and can cause health risks, with the rest being general waste comparable to domestic waste. Healthcare waste can be classified into 10 main categories. Here you find all of them: general waste, infectious, pathological waste, sharps, and radioactive waste. Next, is keynoting. Okay, healthcare waste management is a process to help ensure proper hospital hygiene and the safety of healthcare workers and communities. It includes planning, procurement, construction, staff training, behavior, staff training and behavior, proper use of tools, and also proper disposal methods inside and outside the hospital. Healthcare waste management in developing countries lacks funding, adequate management structures, trained personnel, adequate equipment, and this leads to improper healthcare waste management practices, thereby exposing healthcare workers, waste handlers, and the community at large. Poor management of healthcare waste exposes healthcare workers, we already mentioned there. Despite this inherent hazardous nature of healthcare waste, their treatment and disposal remains neglected and attended within urban municipal waste systems in Kenya. Next. So I did a study in the non-government healthcare facilities in Nairobi, and I did in 24 healthcare facilities, different categories from VCT to hospitals. Next. 130 questionnaires were administered to elicit information from the different cadres of healthcare workers. Next. Okay, we assessed the training of healthcare workers on management of healthcare waste, and we found that 66% of the healthcare workers had not been trained in healthcare waste management. Next. The finding, the overall knowledge of healthcare workers on waste management was assessed by doing a score. And it was found that 54% had inadequate knowledge of healthcare waste management. And healthcare, at least all the healthcare workers, all the healthcare workers interviewed believed that they had a role to play in healthcare waste management. The attitudes of healthcare workers was assessed by scoring the different aspects of attitude. And we found that 95% of healthcare workers at least had a positive attitude towards healthcare waste management. It was found that most healthcare facilities provide PPE, that is personal protective equipment for the waste handlers, but they're not sufficient. And the most widely supplied are the facial masks and heavy-duty gloves. There was lack of harmony in healthcare waste management across the different healthcare facilities. Next. Of the facilities we assessed, none was found to have a healthcare waste management plan, which is the basics for sound practices, according to WHO. It was found that most healthcare wastes were not managed adequately. Waste segregation was found to be inadequate, with sharps being the only waste that was found to be well segregated in all the facilities. We were seeing that the other wastes were being mixed. Also, waste transportation within the facility was manually done, putting the waste handlers at great risk. And waste storage areas are not secure. Next. Okay, these are the findings of the facilities. The also segregation, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, the fifth column, all the facilities need to segregate their waste, but it's only sharp that were properly segregated. Most of the others were not segregated. Color coding, which is important. Only 3 facilities did color coding. Waste management team, we only had 3 facilities having waste management team. Waste treatment, slightly above half had a waste treatment provision within the facilities. Most of them were providing, waste disposal was mainly by private collectors. Thank you. Next. So coming from that, Ruaraka YNM Hospitals opened its doors in the year 2009. And having done the survey about healthcare waste management, we had an idea of how to get it right. The first thing we did was have a QIT team, that's quality improvement, whose mandate was to ensure that quality standards are adhered to in every aspect of healthcare. This team is composed from the waste management officer and officers from different departments of the hospital. We have 2 waste management officers who are trained, and all health workers have been trained. We do yearly training on waste management. Next. Here, we use the WHO category for segregation of waste. You can see 4 main categories, which is general, infectious, highly infectious, and sharp containers, and they have the color code. Next. As you can see, we adhere to this, and we have all the containers, the bins, and also the linings are color coded. So the staff, this helps the staff to ensure that they do not put the wrong waste in the wrong container. Next. These are waste transportation. We use trolleys. So our waste management officer is not at risk. So circular economy in RU Neema Hospital. We produce an average of 4,000 kgs of healthcare waste per month. Like kitchen waste, we give them to the pig farmers. These are not there is no risk. We separate carton papers, which are sent to nearby factory for recycling to toilet paper. This is an average of 350 kilograms. This generates money for the institution. We also have an incinerator, which is licensed by NEMA and provides incineration services to health facilities within the region, and this earns the facility an income. It is a 2-chamber with gas to degrees of the lower chamber 600 and the upper up to 800 degrees. It can incinerate up to 100 kilograms of waste per day. Asanteni. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Washington. You still had 2 minutes, but I suspect you are donating it to Mr. Ongare to clear his part. Okay. Mr. Ongare, welcome.
So is it the question answer session?
No, one more session is required.
Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome, Mr. Ongare. Please have your work on presentation mode.
Just 5 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Kare at NEMA.
I work at NEMA, and I will present on the National Solid Waste Management Act of 2022. I will just touch on the highlights because most of the issues have been touched upon. As I mentioned earlier, Kenya has made concerted efforts to tackle waste, including the ban on single-use plastics in 2017. We now have a marine litter action plan. We also have draft extended producer responsibility regulations, which will be ready by August. The National Sustainable Waste Management Act has prioritized the issue of circularity within the context of cradle to cradle, basically with the aim of minimizing extraction of virgin material, and also to look at disposal and incineration as really last options for waste management. Various players in the waste value chain have also been given obligations under the Act so that people can exercise duty of care. And it has also provided for producers of products, not just waste. Any new product into the Kenyan market must enter into an extended producer responsibility scheme for their products. So as I mentioned, because of time, one issue is to promote sustainable waste management, and 2, to create an enabling environment for employment creation in waste. So we are looking at waste as a resource for livelihoods in recycling and recovery. We have also looked at issues of behavior change and mainstreaming issues of resource efficiency. We have already piloted this in several companies in Nairobi and also in the Lake Basin region with very good results. Duties for citizens include issues of segregation of waste and only giving waste to licensed waste service providers. Private sector players have several obligations: segregation, use of properly coded waste bins and receptacles, and also to prepare 3 waste management plans and submit to NEMA. If we look at waste service providers, they are also expected to deliver segregated waste to designated and licensed facilities. This is for ease of handling. Then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, every producer shall bear extended producer responsibility to reduce pollution, And this they can do either collectively or individually. We expect recovery facilities to be established in each county for final sorting, segregation, composting, and recycling. You can see that the obligations of counties are many because this is where waste is generated, and waste management is a devolved function. So we expect landfilling to be a last option with regard to waste management. We also expect counties to provide incentive schemes for collection and management of waste, and to also provide county waste management plans that will be jointly monitored. Members, the issue of data is very important, and this is what we need to quantify the kinds and quantities of the different types of data that we'll be getting. And we expect the county also to submit to the county assembly for approval their county waste management plans, and try to find ways, because now this is a resource, to also link those to their county integrated development plans. We expect counties also to establish material recovery facilities that will be licensed by NEMA. In the interest of time, NEMA will basically play issues of compliance and enforcement, compliance assistance, develop guidelines, and monitor compliance with regard to this particular act. And I would like to point out that, yes.
You have 1 minute.
Okay, the Cabinet Secretary for Environment will be responsible for gazetting the national color coding system, and she will also make regulations and frameworks that give effect to this act. We also expect the CS to make design incentive schemes that will promote the effectiveness of this particular act. Thank you very much, and apologies again for the problems with the systems. Thank you very much. I'm done.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ongare, for the good presentation. Please unmute and stop sharing your presentation. Now, the last presentation of this technical session is on leveraging on global health value chains as a strategy for increasing inefficiencies in health sector by Dr. Veronica Kaluyu from United States International University, Africa. Dr. Kaluyu is a scholar in strategy and management driven by desire for quality and excellence in business practice and research. She has experience in business management in public and private sectors. She's involved in the creation of health sector and agribusiness value chain strategy as a business development service for farmers in Africa continent. As a lecturer, she has published an article articles in international journals. I now humbly request Dr. Veronica Kaluyu to make her presentation. Dr. Kaluyu, you have 10 minutes. Please unmute and share your screen.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Okay, so I'm privileged to almost close the chapter, and I will surely do so. And I just want to point that after we've heard so much from the different parts of the world, and even a lot of sharing of cases, a lot of sharing from cases in Kenya and East Africa per se, I want to say that using a global eye, I would be talking about the global value chains as one of emerging phenomenon from globalization phenomenon. And in actual sense, saying that the global value chains have also put in precedence a situation that can also propel what we are talking about today. We surely accept that the global value chains have become actually a feature in the global economy, accounting for 80% of global trade And therefore, we also want to appreciate that the global value chains are actually enabling countries to participate in global production networks, acquire technology, and even upgrade their capabilities as well as competencies. So looking at global health sector, we are also seeing the health sector globally is also playing in this phenomena of global value chains. And we see a lot happening through pharmaceuticals, medical devices, and healthcare services from different companies, industries, as well as the healthcare services. So the question is, what can health sector draw from the global value chains feature as far as waste management is concerned? And what is it, or what strategy is going to take us there? In the initial presentations by the keynote speakers, there is somewhere we are going globally as far as waste management is concerned. We are moving towards zero carbon emissions, zero everything, so that finally we get there. But I'm just trying to emphasize that through global value chains, we can actually leverage on the aspect that we can access increased technology. We can actually enjoy borrowing from collaborations. We can, I hope that's not to me, we can borrow from technologies that are shared in different parts of the world where we have different stages of the global value chains. We can also enjoy cost effectiveness and increase efficiency in running the business, and in as well as in dealing with waste management. As enhanced, as it has been said earlier, there is cost if we do not manage waste. And so we are also saying that there is a lot of innovation and knowledge, just as we have shared in this webinar, that can be drawn from different parts of the world, and we are able to do it better than we thought. We are also talking about expansion in more opportunities as we try to access more markets as far as business side of health sector is concerned. But the question is, can we leverage on these global value chain networks in waste management too? So indeed, we can borrow innovative ideas. We can learn new waste management practices and technologies. And we can also have transmission of waste management culture from different parts where we have these value chains. And so what is the strategy then? We can straight away say that we can build capabilities and competencies as we move from one part of the world and to the other in collaboration as far as business and waste management is concerned. We need to strengthen research and development as far as dealing with the different types of waste as we have had. We need also to encourage partnerships and collaborations at the level of global stakeholders. We are seeing that a lot can be facilitated through collaborations, governments, world organizations, and even institutions that support waste management. So we cannot forget policy. In as much as we would want to do a lot, if we forget policy, then we would be making a mistake. Governments need to have appropriate policy. This multinational corporations as key players in global value chains. We also need to also take note that there is also SMEs that participate in making it more easier in localized ways as far as waste management is concerned. So we can also leverage on learning from multinationals as well as leverage on learning from small and medium enterprises as far as waste management practices are concerned. I have a lot of case studies that maybe you can look at them from my slides on the success of some of the medical areas in terms of collaboration in pharmaceuticals, in also medical devices, and also in healthcare services. But the underscore of all these case studies is one thing, that when we engage in collaborations in doing global value chains, we are actually moving towards the strategy to succeed in meeting our agenda of zero emissions and zero, as we have said. So what is the role of governments and other institutions then? We are saying that the governments need to develop favorable government waste management policies. We are also saying that we also need to develop the support and institutions, support them to develop the waste management ideologies that they have in a locally and community-based ways. And so we are simply saying that there is a big role governments will play, and also the other supporting institutions, if they are properly supported to thrive, then we can move towards achieving our agenda in waste management. Nevertheless, we do not forget that there are challenges that we will face.
You have 2 minutes.
I'll be brief. There are challenges that we will face. Definitely, borrowing from different parts of the world, we need not forget that we are likely to develop dependencies. It's also important to also have homegrown innovations that can help us to achieve our agenda. We also will meet challenges in intellectual property protection and technology transfer. We will also need to face the regulatory and compliance challenges, and even including ethical challenges regarding waste management. In the recommendation, as I conclude, then I say that it is important that we enhance collaborations in research, in the innovation and development of waste management processes. We need to build policy frameworks to mitigate against poor waste management. We also create a harmonious political climate, even as we think of the different nations, so that we can now be able to focus on this waste management agenda. We need to support institutions that also, so that they also adhere to global standards of waste management. And more so, there is one thing I feel strongly, that we need to build a supportive culture, create awareness and sensitivity to environmental issues. And that can come in handy through training, right from education perspective. Train a child the way they should go. Let them know, let them be aware that it is important to manage our waste and the importance of it to our livelihood. And more so, community engagement and participation. I would have given a story by Maasai's in an area called Athi River in Kenya, where they actually attacked county officials as they try to burn waste, a heap of waste where it is usually dropped. And they said these guys are finishing the food that our cows eat, and they came with spears. So only if they had engaged this community to understand the importance of what they were doing. So we put an underscore that networks, collaborations, even with other trade blocs, will help us to learn more and improve our waste management practices. Let's remember the world is one and we are all one. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Veronica Kaluyu. I request you to stop sharing. Thank you. And mute your microphone. Now it's time for an open house discussion, questions and answers. Before that, yes, Prof.
Yeah, I think there is a question that was raised by Peter Omoti to me, and I would like to answer it if it is appropriate at this time.
Please go ahead, Prof.
Yeah, Peter Omoti was talking about in my presentation, in our presentation that I made, what about the issue of waste segregation and the drainage challenges that we always face in very many urban centers of ours, including the Nairobi the Nairobi County. What I want to say is that I do not know how we can do this, but I think the key thing is education. And the key thing is always the parents and educating their kids. I think Dr. Kalui mentioned something along that line. And maybe we need to enforce by creating early childhood education that will provide the conservation of our planet at the beginning in every sector and in every family. I think we will be able to succeed in this. Because in my presentation that I had, we have also said that education is key, awareness is key, and as a founding DG NEMA, we created a number of departments, including the department that is environmental education, training, and awareness. And I believe NEMA is taking the responsibility along those lines. And in order to support NEMA and other institutions, parents must do their job, and we must not throw garbage anyhowly. And I remember when I was being interviewed for the job of National Coordinator of Agenda 21, the NEP, the National Environment Action Plan that generated NEMA and other and that institution. One of the things that I was asked in that interview was that once you create an authority like NEMA, do you need policemen of environment? And I said, I think it is a good idea to have policemen that can manage and really help us in managing the environment. And the reason why I said that was because in 1996, my peers and I and others were going to a convention in Indonesia on biodiversity convention. I think it was number 2, number 3 in those days. My then peers told me, we are going through Singapore. And when we are in Singapore, don't throw anything anyhowly. Don't spit anything anyhowly. Because if you do so, you will be arrested, you will be caned, you will be imprisoned, and you will be fined. So, and I think that that is very, maybe to us, is very harsh, but it works for that nation. We need to be creative here so that we are able to manage the drainage system that we face every year. And I'm just telling you, if you walk around, you see each one of us throwing their garbage anyhowly, and they fill in the various places of the streets and everything else. And when the rain starts, drainage starts immediately, and problems are there. Sick health issues are also there. So my suggestion to Peter Omoty is that I think education is key, parent is key. The institutions such as NEMA should also create incentives, and I think we have those suggestions for those who are doing well and be given awards and etc., so that we all work together in saving the environment and safeguarding the nature, the planet that we have destroyed. And above all, ask God for forgiveness because we are destroying what He gave us, and that was good, and it is now no good because we have ruined it. So that is key. Education, and let the institution continue pushing, and if necessary, the police environment may be introduced. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor. I now invite Mr. Kamat to summarize the session.
Thank you for inviting me, and thanks all the presenters who made fantastic presentations. Finally, we could hear David's comments on the policy, because all the policies look very similar nowadays, but the difference is always in the execution of the policies or implementation of the policies. But the some common elements between India and the Kenyan policy and focus areas also I was able to see. like incineration should be the last option. You know, in many of the tier 2, tier 3 cities in India, the waste dumps are just set on fire, and you know, that takes care of the waste, but it kills the environment. Dr. Karen gave a very good insight about the, you know, little bit micro level issue, but very serious issue of antibiotic pollution in groundwater. Even I was not aware that it's such a big and serious issue in Kenya, because I mean, yes, if you are consuming small amount of antibiotics all the time, you develop antibiotic immunity, and when you really get infected, you know, you need higher doses or much more stronger antibiotics to get well. Finally, we were able to hear Dr. Washington with some, and it was nice to see how the hospitals in Kenya are disposing of the waste, and some of the data about the medical waste disposal in Kenya. Last but not the least, Dr. Koech, Professor Koech, obviously did a great presentation on the role of segregation and the segregation policies in line with the SDG. I was happy to hear that see the similarities between Kenya and India. I would strongly suggest Dr. Koech to visit some of the Indian cities like Indore, which had the same. You know, I come from that area in India, and you know, it used to be so bad that walking on the street in that city was so tough. Now, for the last 5 years, that city, because of successful segregation and disposal of segregated waste, recycling properly, and then taking care of the non-recyclable waste in a systematic way, they have been awarded the cleanest city in India for the last 5 years. So there's much similarity between Kenya and India, but I think many cities in India have addressed that issue in a very successful manner. Last but not the least, Dr. Veronica, you know, emphasized on the global value chain and collaboration to add to make, let's say, each country better in waste management. So in all, the sessions were very informative and very informative to me also, though I'm on a day-to-day basis handling issues about civic waste management and all those things. I just wanted to make 2 small points from my side, if Chair allows. Can I do it? Hello?
You're the chair.
No.
You're the chair, so you're allowed.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So I, you know, I just wanted to raise 2 sort of 2 structural similarities between Kenya and India. One is that, you know, when we talk about recycling, you know, recycling predominantly could be done in 3 ways. One is the mechanical recycling, the other is the chemical this thing, and the other is incineration. So we heard in the other sessions much detail about how to convert it, let's say, non-recyclable waste into energy. But but India and Kenya, probably both these countries are much more dependent on the mechanical and the incineration or the energy kind of disposal of plastic and paper waste. And there is a lot in common and a lot to be learned together by working together or by sharing each other's experiences. The second thing is that the expertise and capacity creation is required in the area of waste management, because as the countries are becoming higher income countries, our per capita waste generation is going up. I was a little bit shocked to see Nairobi generating about 3,000 tons of waste every day, and that's about 0.85 kgs per person. I think it is higher than what average Indian city is generating per capita. So it's a more urgent problem for Kenya to handle. But the challenges that we face in the developing countries is our limitation of capital. Let's say how much we can spend on waste management. And one of the strategies that we are following in our let's say greenfield city is take care of the waste closest to the generation point. So instead of carrying the waste for many kilometers to a common centralized waste facility, the pattern of waste generation is also very similar. So about 50% of the waste is organic waste or food waste, and rest of the 50%, most of it is paper, plastic, and mixed waste. So food waste, we are trying to sort of, in each sector of the city, we are trying to create facilities to get rid of the food waste or convert that into biomethanation into biogas and use that gas in the nearby area. Plus the compost can be used in this thing. But we are at a city scale quite small. But I know of many cities in India which are doing the same thing. Each ward or each sector of the city is having its own biomethanation plant. Food waste goes there directly and gets converted. So you don't have to transport food waste or transport much of the waste kilometers out of the city to the waste dump and then process it. That's a very high capital, high operating cost model, which may work in Western countries, but will not work in developing countries. So yeah, some of the observations, but yeah, for lack of time, I will stop here and thank all the speakers who have given very nice presentation, and hand over the responsibility to start the next session to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kamat. At this point, I would like to invite Professor Koech to make his concluding remarks.
Gilbert, we don't have much time now. We have to pack up in next 5 minutes time. So what we will do is Professor Koech will speak 2 minutes, I'll speak 2 minutes, and I'll give Jeremy 3 minutes for vote of thanks. All right, Professor Koech.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Gilbert. What I would like to say, I've taken a number of notes for concluding remarks, but I'm going to just say that we want to thank God for having guided us and enabled us to have this meeting today. I noted that the participation of the participants were about 70, and I think that is a good record. And there were others who are still asking me for the link when we had already started. For those who had communicated to, and some of them were able to join. Now, I want to just say that we have done a good job. Thank you all the coordinators, thank you all the presenters, thank you all the researchers and all those who are able to come and those who are not able to come. I believe what we have done today is a great improvement, a great step forward toward working together, collaborating together, both India and Kenya and other parties around the globe, so that we are able to sort out these problems of waste management and circular economy, converting waste into wealth and benefiting from them. So in a nutshell, I want to thank everybody and then say that there are opportunities for the future to continue collaborating and working together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I am very happy with the performance in this conference. And you know, the outcome of this conference, what I have observed are there are good learning on the waste management and circular economy status in different African countries, specifically in South Africa, in Kenya, and in India. And there are a number of research activities which have been also presented here. So in a summary, what I can perceive from this is a collaboration will be long-standing, and there will be a lot of outcome from this collaboration which is initiated from this program. And I wish all the people who joined this, I can see also people from Tunisia who contacted me, who joined here. So let us continue this collaboration. Let us have a very effective special session on African countries, waste management, decarbonization, and circular economy in ICON SWM. And I will request Professor Koech to lead this show for those sessions with a few other friends from Uganda and South Africa and Ghana and Egypt. Thank you very much. Now I hand over this to Jeremy for Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Prof, for this opportunity to deliver the vote of thanks. Hello, everyone present here. We have come to the end of the wonderful virtual Kenya, East Africa and India Collaborative Conference on Waste Management and Circular Economy. It is with a great honor and privilege to deliver a vote of thanks.
Meantime, I request everybody to open their camera so that a photograph can be taken. Please, go ahead, Jeremy.
Okay, I would like to thank the Almighty God for giving us the gift of life to share our experiences. I also extend my appreciation to the International Society of Waste Management, Air and Water for organizing this series of collaborative conferences, providing platforms for senior academics and junior researchers to expound more on the dissemination of research around circular economy, solid waste, and decarbonization. Special thanks to you, Professor Ghosh, the founder and president of the International Society of Waste Management, Air and Water, for the effort of reaching out to many scholars across various continents and coming up with this network, which consists of a range of scholars, the senior academics, faculty members, policy makers, and also experts in the civil society movement, so that we can share our experiences and tackle this challenge of solid waste and the opportunity and explore opportunities in the circular economy. My special appreciation also to the speakers who delivered the keynote address, Mr. D.V. Rao, Dr. Subramanian, and of course you, Professor Ghosh, for your insightful presentation in the keynote address. I extend my warm and kind appreciation to this, all the presenters, Professor Koech, David Ngare, Dr. Ngari, Mr. David Ongare, and Miss Grace. We have Miss Juliana, Miss Mary, and Miss Kellen Karemi for making such wonderful presentation and also adhering to the time restriction. I appreciate the chairs, Professor Satenda, Professor Koech, and the co-chair, Mr. Satis Kamat, for your excellent job in summarizing the presentation and also guiding the technical session 1 and 2. My deepest appreciation also to the Secretariat, Ms. Padma Gunde, Mr. Dinesh Kumar. We have Charis Karaoke, Gilbert Mutai, and Julian Mwanya from Kenya for your relentless effort of drafting the brochure and also gathering details from all the speakers. And thank you for coordinating the conference smoothly. Lastly, a special thanks to the other participants from Kenya, Uganda, Tunisia, South Africa, Rwanda, and any other African countries, and of course, India, that joined us today. It's an honor that you registered for the conference and also invited other scholars to join in. For this, I give you a thumbs up, and I know Professor Ghosh mentioned that there will be certificate for those who attended. So I think this is a kind of appreciating your efforts for being part of the conference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to all.
Thank you. Very good. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Asante, thank you.
Bye-bye. See you again.
We'll see each other. Thank you for the good job. And everybody.
Have you
Thank
taken
you.
the photo? Has the photo been taken?
Oh, Travel C, you are also here.
The photo?
Oh.
Have you taken? Yeah.
How do we take?
Yeah.
Anyway.
How do you take photos? Yeah.
Take a screenshot.
photos
Take
are
a
already-
screenshot.
Screenshot, yeah.
Where? Where is the
Print screen.
screenshot?
Print screen.
Done. It's done already, right?
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't know how to do it.